Well, greetings world and greetings Seven Spot. We're live. It's a miracle. And we have a great show for you today because we're going to be basically all over the world. So without further ado, I'm going to bring some people into the stream. First of all, I'm going to add my partner in crime, Steve Dunbar. How are you doing? Oh, your microphone's not working, so I'm going to let you play with your microphone. Just go down to the bottom of the screen and you can see the settings button and you can test your microphone. But in the meantime, I will bring Matt into the show. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for having me tonight.
My
well, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So anyway, I'm going to also add our next guest. We've got Robert in the Netherlands. Greetings, Robert. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. And we've got more guests. Look at this. We've got Lee and Nick in the Midlands.
Sorry, Jim, to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Hi, guys.
As I said, I work as a roadside assistant.
And you've been called.
Yeah,
have you been?
I haven't
well, I'm going to just say this. I'm going to say thank you for joining us, and we got more because we got a future live stream coming from the Netherlands, and it's going to include you and your Dutton Phaeton. So with that, I'm going to let you go to you're on call, so you got to go. So
yes.
Cheers and thanks so much. I'll see if I can find the files and we'll play them during the live stream.
I send them to you by messenger.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and
Have
then I will. We keep in touch for the next live stream, and I will take care that I have spare time.
Wonderful. All right.
Good.
Without further ado, Steve, are you with us yet?
Bye.
I don't hear you, Steve. We got to get your microphone working. It's at the bottom of your screen, Steve. You'll see a settings button, and you have to go to settings and then adjust your microphone and do a test on it. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring Matt completely right into the picture. Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, Jim. Good on you.
That's great. So we're going to also bring in our good friend, John Minion, quickly from Evesham in the Midlands. Say hi, John.
Hi, everybody. How we doing?
Yeah, doing great. This is typical of us. It's bedlam. That's what we do best, I think. All right, back to Matt. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, it's all good.
Great. So you've got the floor, Matt. Tell us what we're looking at there, because yours has got to be one of the most unique sevens, if we shall call it that, I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's fairly radical. A friend of mine, Craig, approached me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a friend of mine approached me about 2 years ago. They'd drawn a car and they wanted to remake a car and that kind of thing. So, and that's what we do. You know, we've made various sports cars over the years and done lots of Formula Ford work and that kind of thing. So I agreed. We did some design changes and things just to make it slightly more sensible in terms of work and that kind of thing. And my history being Formula Ford, you know, there's a lot of Formula Fordisms in here, which I think is, it's just been a great project in general. So, you know, I think the two of us combined, we've really managed to make something quite unique. It's something that's been a really fun project. We've taken, it's a Lotus Class B race car for South Africa. So it's a very, very strong series here. It's unbelievably well run. We've got a really strict set of rules in terms of engines and gearboxes, tires, that kind of thing. You're very limited in terms of tires, which it's, in my opinion, what makes the series work so well. The engines all make very, very similar power, and they're all from a scrapyard, so they're nice and cheap. It's just a brilliant, well-run series. So it's something that we really wanted to have a go at doing better in. We've got some superstar drivers here. We've actually got one of our sort of local touring car drivers who's he's a real hero in terms of South African motorsport. So our aim is to beat him. It's not easy to outdrive him, but we might be able to out-technology him, which is part of the plan. His car was built by his grandfather on a farm. So, he's a superstar driver. The only way that we can sort of get near him is by working harder than him.
Great.
Right down to the point where he actually gives us his data to try and beat him. He's one of the most fantastic. He's just one of our local heroes and just a really nice all-round guy. So.
Well,
Yeah,
you're allowed to run things like wheel sensors and ABS and
no ABS and no traction control, anything like that. That's very, very limited. So you can run wheel speed sensors for the sake of the data. So we have an AIM system on here, which is, it's a great user-friendly, low-cost system. That's available all around the world. It's got good GPS and everything like that. And we can run wheel speed sensors on it just in case you want, checking stuff like wheel spin and that kind of thing. But yeah, we mainly just work off the GPS. We don't sort of try and go to sort of world championship with it either. So
Oh, I'm really keen to, let's talk about some of the tech, how you're going to out technology these guys, because it is different. Number one, it's a single passenger, a single driver only vehicle, because your passenger is a fuel tank.
Yeah, so I just want to see if I can get you some good footage of it here. The whole idea was to try and get the weight distribution 50-50 and 50-50, which we've managed to do. We've managed to get the engine quite far over. Let me just walk around to this side here. So you can actually see...
That's your fuel tank in the passenger side, yeah?
Fuel tank is in the passenger side. Just we're not allowed to run them in the back here because we have had them catch a light. I'm trying to get you a photo of the prop shaft here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Well, it's not a prop shaft. It's just really... It's just a universal joint straight to the diff. So we've managed to get the gearbox nice and far back, which is great. And the other nice thing is, one of the biggest things that we wanted to put effort into making sure was that you could get the gearbox out with the engine in place. 7 gearboxes are notoriously unreliable. Doesn't really matter what you put in, if it's type 9 or whatever it is. The moment the driver starts to give them a bit of a thrashing, they do have a tendency to break, and you do need to be able to change them at the circuit.
Yeah.
So this is actually an MX-5 Mark II.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So MX-5 Mark II.
6-speed or 5-speed?
It's 6-speed. 6-speed with one of the speeds blanked out so that you can't use it. You're not allowed to use a 6-speed gearbox in South Africa.
Okay.
They're very... The guys have done a really good job of stopping people from putting expensive components in these cars, which is why the series is strong. So I'm not sure if you can see the adapter here. So there's my hand.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So this is actually the adapter here that goes that goes Toyota 20-valve engine to Mazda MX-5. So we use that as the engine mount as well. You can see that's where it's mounted here. And one on the floor and 2 on the other side, which is
Specialist build you had to have done, or are they available? Readily available?
So I drew it in CAD, and then we water jetted it, which was quite straightforward. I did a sample one first, which we just laser cut just to make sure that it would work. And then also I just had to chop 12 mils off the gearbox here. It was a bit high, and then we shortened it by 12 millimeters at this point. So that we could fit the adapter in, and we had enough space for the input shaft and all that kind of stuff. It actually worked out. It was unbelievably easy for the sort of task that it was. You'd think it was an absolute nightmare.
Your engine and gearbox is quite far forward.
Quite far back.
Quite far back, yeah.
Sorry, back. Yeah.
He's practically in his lap.
Yeah, it's we certainly put a lot of effort into moving it as far back as we could to try and get our 50-50 weight distribution.
Yeah, I like where your brake cylinders are located.
Yeah, so in terms of pedal box and that kind of thing, the one thing, sort of my experience racing a Caterham and racing some of the other cars, was I didn't like the hanging accelerator pedal. It sort of likes to disappear into the footwell a little bit.
Sure.
And coming from Formula Ford, I'm used to a sort of floor-mounted pedal box. So what I did was we made a floor-mounted pedal box, as you can see there, which is
not much room in there, is there?
That's neat.
Yeah, I don't. I've got a size 10 shoe, and I don't really struggle too much.
Yeah.
But what I did was, just because, we like adjustment, is
You've got brake bias on that as well, I see.
yeah, it's got full brake bias, and a nice long sweep as well, which is difficult to get on the sort of hanging pedal box arrangement. All laser cuts and everything's adjustable, so you could probably get the best part of 100 mil. Probably a bit more adjustment than that out of it, and then all the pedals are individually adjustable, and you can adjust the pads individually as well. So you can really tailor it for.
Yeah, that's smart.
And nice for heel toe.
Yeah,
you can really heel toe it nicely.
You can really get a good feeling for it. Yeah, that's great.
You can do. It's just nice to have a proper pedal box, and it's nice that it's adjustable. Drivers are picky about this stuff, so
yeah.
And then it was quite tricky to just get all of the skinning right, because it has to have firewalls and everything like that. So, and giving us lots of space.
Yeah.
So that was sort of slightly difficult, nothing to get too excited about. But the pedal box was a nice project, and it turned out nicely.
Is there a minimum weight for the series?
There is a minimum weight. It's 630 kilograms with the driver. So our driver, our superstar driver, which is not me, is about 20 kilograms lighter than I am. So the car's sort of built around him. So we got about 5 kilograms of ballast that will run with him.
And is it a one-make chassis series?
No, not at all. So this chassis we made ourselves.
Okay.
You can see like this top tube here is not sort of standard Birkin, Lotus, anything like that. Birkin's our local guy.
I think
that was designed and built and exported all over the world.
Steve Dunbar, who's also local, so he probably understands Birkin.
Space frame, yeah.
I think we actually raced karts with Steve's son. Maybe is it Gordon Dunbar?
No, I'm afraid no relationship there. No.
Okay, cool.
Unless it's something I don't know about.
Okay. Then in terms of chassis, I heard somebody talking about chassis stuff. Hang on, we're just lagging here a little bit.
It's the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's all round tube chassis, yeah?
Oh, it's square tube, I think.
So all round tubes that we could, especially like this top section here. And you can actually see we ran the tubes all the way down. So the roll hoop is integral part of the chassis just to make it a bit stronger.
Welded in, not bolted, yeah?
And all the way to the floor as well. So that rear upright, this front upright like that, it goes all the way down, all the way to the floor of the car like that. And then we've obviously used that as a location to add all of the bottom tubing in. Which it turned out really nicely. We saved a bit of weight with the flanges and things like that as well.
Is there a road going version of the vehicle at all?
No, not yet. I don't think that we'd do a road one. It's really built to the rules, so it would be a bit of a ridiculous road car, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It would be nice, but it's also expensive, and for South African roads, maybe a bit ambitious. So we've got a ride-out rule of 50 millimeters, so we run this car at 50 millimeters off the ground. So you can actually see. Let me just see if I can get onto the floor here, and I can actually show you the bottom. You can see the bottom of the car is all countersunk rivets the whole way through, and the floor is flat throughout, just to save us just a little bit of rigidity and a little bit of aero.
Yeah.
So and from a suspension point of view, Craig did all the design stuff. We put a huge amount of effort into being able to crash it. It's one of the things about a 7 which is slightly difficult, is if you crash them, they do a lot of damage and a lot of chassis damage. Yeah. So all the suspension is mounted with these little brackets. So if you do have a big one, it just rips the bracket off in theory and damages that, which is nice. Again, just a sort of, it's just an old Formula Ford trick. I guess those things really got crashed endlessly. So
you've got the inboard shocks on that as well, haven't you, to reduce the unsprung weight?
It reduces the unsprung. Obviously, there's nothing in the airflow, which is nice. And then there's a huge amount of adjustment in terms of you can adjust the droop independent of the ride height, which makes a difference. The camber, this is quite a nice feature as well, is the toe link and the wishbone bolt onto this plate here, which means that you can adjust the camber with these shims over here, which means that you don't lose the toe when you adjust the camber.
Nice.
Which is
I've seen that before. Is that your own design?
So it probably came out on Formula Fords in the mid 90s already.
Okay.
It's just a really cool trick. It just saves you a lot of time in terms of camber adjustment. So we can do a camber adjustment in about sort of 2 minutes.
I was going to say,
Yeah, that makes a huge difference when you're on the track. Yeah,
it does make a huge difference. And these uprights are also really clever. They're just water jetted, and then they use a mini bearing which just bolts straight in there like that. So turnaround time of these things is really quick, and they're dirt cheap, which is really, really nice.
Simplicity. That's
super accurate.
Yeah.
It's really great. In this one here, this is probably worth a look. Is the front push rod attachment here? It's something that took a fair amount of design work and a lot of thinking. It's maybe worth leaving to the experts to try and work out what we've done here, just as a bit of sort of entertainment, and maybe we can try and come back to it at the end, just so that you can actually see what we've done and maybe think about the reasons that we did it. It's a pretty cool design feature. I don't know if there's any ultimate speed that we wound up finding in it, but it's just something that we worked on, and it was really a great idea.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
The brakes are absolutely enormous, and all that it does is it locks the front wheels up, so we're putting smaller brakes on the front. We actually struggle to get heat into the brakes because they're so big and so vented, and then there's a little bit of weight that we can get on.
Woolwoods that you're running there?
Yep, Woolwoods.
Seems to be popular.
I
I have them myself. I think Lee and Nick have Willwoods as well.
Is there somebody that's at a pub there?
Yeah, that's Lee and Nick, and they're actually the build agents for Aardvark Racing, and they're building.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, they're building something similar to what's on your left.
Okay, well, I can go to that if you want. I'm easy to distract. And something else that's cool here was we just tried various bits of acumen here. So it's just something that we can try. A lot of the time with motorsport, you can do a calculation that's 1 million kilometers long, or you can just go and try it.
Yeah.
So my calculator doesn't have enough buttons on the keyboard, so we built a lot of let's be able to try it stuff into this car, including roll centers. So like these brackets where they bolt on here, we can put 2 or 3 different sets of holes here, if that's something we want to try. And then we can also machine the top hat section, which is this little spacer here. We can machine those, so we can have infinite adjustments on them. We can try different roll centers and fiddle around and that kind of thing.
That's a very clever design. That.
Oh, totally clever. I mean,
are you running any anti-roll bars?
Yes. So these rockers they were just sort of trial rockers that we did, and we did a simulation on them and everything like that. And we sort of ran out of time for the first race, so I didn't get roll bars initially. But it's something that we'll work on in the future. If the car is also quick enough, then I think we'll stop developing it. You also don't want to do any damage to the series or anything like that. But yeah, we've got to catch Jeffrey Kruger first. So
Jeffrey, he's probably watching this. He's probably
do you think you're close to him or getting close to his times?
Probably not me. I'm not a good enough driver. I've done lots of rallying. I have lots of rallying experience, although I've never done any rallying. So I drive next to the circuit a lot. When we get our better driver, maybe, or when Jeffrey does some coaching, I'm gonna have to get Jeffrey in for coaching. So does anyone want to know anything else about the front?
As far as the engines are concerned, are you limited to horsepower or modifications you can do? And what's your base standard engine that is used? So
it's a Toyota 20-valve engine. Basically, from a scrapyard, you're allowed to give the head a very light skim. and that's pretty much it. The ECUs are free, but the horsepower on these is so unbelievably well matched. The guys are just, they put a huge amount of effort into making the engine rules very, very, very strict. You're not allowed to modify the engine even slightly. You're not allowed to do anything funny with the valves or change cams or anything like that.
Yeah.
So from a horsepower point of view,
it will make for very, very close racing, which is what people want to see these days.
Very, yeah.
well, one of the greatest things about the series is that the aero is so bad on these cars that the slipstreaming is just, it's unbelievably good. So you can just have, it's like everyone's got DRS all the time except the front guy.
Well,
So
on that point, I just wanted to take a look at, I guess, the rear bulkhead on your vehicle, because it's on quite a nice rig there.
what
I noticed in the
wheels are you
pictures.
running on that?
You talk
I think you're
about
running
sitting on the
13-inch
floor.
maybe?
You truly are.
so what do you want to have a look at the
I just
seating?
want- Yeah, the seating on it,
what
because I
wheels
noticed in the
are you
pictures
running on
that
it? 13-inch?
your helmet is the only thing that's showing above the above the scuttle.
Yeah, so that seat was sort of made for me. So coming from Formula Ford, the lower you sit, I guess the less hard the car hits you in the head that drives into you. So I guess I sort of took some of that into the 7 when we made the seat for me. A lot of the
And
guys
look at
sit
the
a little bit
angle
higher.
of the rear portion of the seat. That's very, very. I guess it's a very steep angle.
Yeah, let me find the grow foam seat somewhere here that we make. I tend to put grow foam seats in just because they're a bit more comfortable and they're a hell of a lot safer. I think that they're safer. Yeah, and also again with a single seater background. Yeah, I guess that's just what we do is we make grow foam seats. I guess I shouldn't have lost the seat. It would probably help.
It's incredibly well thought up. Matt, that is really brilliant.
Look, we spent a huge amount of time, and obviously we've got a lot of really good examples of cars. There's a lot of South Africans that have done amazing stuff with cars. They've really done a good job with them. So we had a lot of good examples to sort of copy. That front pushrod mount that I pointed out comes from a Dallara Formula 3 car.
Yeah.
I did 2 seasons of British Formula 3 as a number 1 mechanic. So, obviously I copied a lot of the bits and pieces I learned there.
Yeah.
From that sort of thing. So none of this is sort of like spectacularly new ideas. I can actually tell you where the inspiration comes from for bits and pieces. I like bulkhead cars because as you damage things, you replace pieces, not the chassis. So you can
really
often fix them at the circuit.
I love
what I'm used to.
How about
I've
rigidity?
never seen that rear shock absorber set up either.
So if you know Formula Fords,
Yeah.
again, this will be very much like a Swift SC 94, 96 sort of era. Not sort of particularly new and inventive or anything like that, but in terms of the space we had and wanting pushrod suspension, this just worked really, really well. So we've been pretty happy with it. We'll get a roll bar mounted on here, sort of Formula Ford style H with links to the 2 rockers, which is nice. It sort of gives you an infinite amount of adjustment. But again, we'll see with that one, what direction we want to head with that. Often a bit of fiddling with the roll sensors actually makes more of a difference than the roll bar. And because we're so limited on tires, we're allowed 2 sets for the whole season.
The whole season?
Yeah. And they're 6,000 Rand, which is like, I think probably, it's divided by 15, so it's about $400 for the set. And yeah, it works really, really well. The tires are quite hard. And it's part of what makes the series work so unbelievably well is the tires are the limiting factor. So you can go out, you can go and buy yourself a new set of Öhlins, and you ain't going to beat Jeffrey Kruger. That's it's just what makes it work so well. So we can go berserk developing a car and trying to do the thing. And again, we're limited by tires. So
with all the bulkheads, can I ask you?
Because you're in South Africa, do you have wet tires and dry tires?
No. So what we do is we probably do 1 rain race every 2 years here.
It is South
So
Africa.
we run a semi-slick tire, so exactly like the Formula Ford UK do, where one tire is everything. It's your dry tire, it's your wet tire, everything like that. It just makes such a difference. It makes the cars easier to run. You don't have chaos when it's a rain race, if it is, and also you don't have to carry wets around for nothing.
Yeah.
Dumb question, Matt. How is the structural rigidity with all those bulkheads?
What size wheels are you running?
15-inch wheels.
15.
Yeah, and I think they're 7-inch wide.
Okay. Because normally,
and
people always say for track, you want to go down to 13, you get the weight saving.
Again, I guess the first of these race cars came out with 15-inch wheels, and the series just works so well that they've just left everything alone. So everything's been developed around a 15-inch wheel. The tires are easily available. The gearing and everything works really, really well with these cars. So
the rear diff and so on, yeah.
Yeah, so you got a sort of choice here. Most people use a Subaru diff, like 4.4 or 4.1. You can get a 4.7.
Pretty bulletproof.
Yeah, they're pretty bulletproof, and you can get nice LS units for them, which is cool. They're easy to set up, easy to work on, and there's lots of guys still that have got English axles as well. And the English axle stuff you can get nice ratios for. So again, the limiting factor.
Are you running a limited slip?
Yes.
Yeah.
These engines make quite a bit of power, so I think without a limited slip, I think it would actually it wouldn't. Yeah. It would be a great money saver, but it wouldn't really help. And some of the people, namely our chief foe, runs a welded up diff. They just welded all the gears together, and that was actually good enough. And the chassis flex enough that I think it actually picks the wheel up, so it does allow a degree of wheel spin.
Well, that was
almost like a car.
So you do get a little bit of flex with all the bulkheads on the chassis.
This car we really tried hard to get rid of all the flexing. So that's why we put the 6082 floor on it, and it's the same floor the whole way through. So it's riveted and epoxied on as well. So that makes a big difference in terms of rigidity. And then these bulkheads are well attached here. So I don't think we're getting too much flexing through that sort of stuff. Yeah. With a Lotus, I think you generally get a massive amount of flexing sort of engine bay. So just from experience and that kind of thing, I've run a Caterham, and there was a huge amount of flex through the engine bay. So we've tried to get rid of that too.
Yeah, probably with the torque of the engine twisting the front chassis, maybe. Yeah.
Those Caterham chassis are very, very, very soft anyway. I mean, if you put that thing on the corner weight scales overnight, it kind of fixes itself. So while they're absolutely brilliant cars, and I mean they're beautifully nickel bronzed and everything like that, they're not made to be stiff, and I think the chassis is a replacement component, whereas in South Africa, we don't have the option of just replacing the chassis. I mean, it's a huge amount of money here, and we have to do stuff that makes sense. We have to do stuff that saves money, and that's I think where the series is so brilliant. I mean, the series punches way above its weight, and in terms of budget, you could probably do one race in the UK for what you'll do on a season here.
Yeah.
Yes.
But to make it affordable so everybody can get involved.
This is what I said. I imagine it's quite a popular series with a lot of entrants.
It's probably South Africa's biggest, or in amongst its biggest series. I think we had 30 cars at the last race, which is not bad. This isn't a country with a huge amount of money, and we do have a lot of problems and things like that. So these guys do an absolutely brilliant job. I think South African Motorsport
is a good amount on the grid.
It's a good amount on the grid, and 30 reliable cars, and that's not the biggest it's been. I mean, I think they've seen over 40, and there's probably a good 100 running cars in South Africa. So it's a consistent 30 cars as well, which is really good.
Yes, yeah.
Very, very cool. You mind if I ask you to swing your camera over to, I guess you're right.
So this is a Juno that we're remaking for somebody. It burnt out in Cape Town. They left the battery on charge, and it was one of those lithium batteries, so the car burnt out, and it destroyed the whole front of the car, sort of all the way virtually to the engine. So we had to remake the chassis. We had to remake the whole front of the car, which we did. And then obviously some of it we didn't have or couldn't find, and that kind of thing. Obviously, you can just buy new parts from Juno, but yeah, they also the stuff's not so easy to get from them. It still sort of take years. So we just remade a lot of the stuff and recreated it.
Yeah, I have to say I am not a big fan at the moment of lithium batteries. I know people swear by them and obviously the huge weight savings, but when they let go big style.
Well, it absolutely annihilated this car. I mean, there was nothing left of this car all the way to the engine. It destroyed everything.
Wow.
And it almost got the Porsche next to it. So we managed to get we managed to sort of save the uprights. We saved the gearbox. We saved the engine. It's got a Nissan 370Z engine in it, which is maybe it's quite a wild thing. I think it makes 300 and something kilowatts.
Wow.
So onto an FTR. So that's also going to be a little bit of it's too powerful for the gearbox. Obviously, you just turn the engine down, but this is a seriously quick car. And it's been a nice fun project as well to recreate it. Cool. Remaking the chassis was good. We did some. So our plan was, just as an interesting bit on the side here, this join here has actually got a bolt in it. It's something that we learned from the off-road car guys locally. I don't know if you guys know, but South Africa is in amongst the biggest exporters of Dakar sort of spec cars in the world. We've got Toyota Motorsport here that do all the Toyota Dakar Gazoo cars. And then we've got WCT that do a whole range of different cars. They certainly make the prettiest cars that we export, the nicest ones. Then we've got Redline that do an unbelievably good job as well. They've got a thing called a Revo, that they've also done Dakar and all sorts of stuff. They do an absolutely brilliant job. And then Century, which made that buggy, which actually it won a stage last year in the Dakar. So all of our guys, we just that's sort of those are our touring cars here, where all the sort of best teams and best engineering companies make those.
Yeah, the exhaust on that is interesting as well. Have you got is there an actual silencer on it?
It's incomplete. So it gets a collector, and then the collector goes sort of, it comes right to the back. Yes, we still got to put the floor on and everything. It gets quite a bit of body work, and
you've got a ways to go with that one.
Looking at the aluminium uprights there, you building some kind of wing on it?
Yeah, it's got a. Let me find the wing for you here. So this workshop's also quite small. So everything's a bit on top of itself, but that's the wing there. It's a huge wing. It makes a massive amount of downforce. It's got big splitters and big everything. So you can actually see he has all the bodywork here. We're trying to fit and get right for it. And there's wheels there. You can actually see the size of the wheels. It's
wow,
fairly big unit.
Down with that one.
Yeah, staggered front and back. Yeah,
it's a huge thing.
Well, Matt, this is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. This is absolutely great.
And here's our pyrolysis machines that we make.
Yeah.
So these convert waste plastic into a usable fuel as well, which is it's really quite a cool thing. So I think we were the finalists in the Africa Startup Awards for these. They're also quite a cool thing.
I think pyrolysis is the way forward. It really is.
You can see all the motorsport inspiration all over it too. I don't really know about pyrolysis, but I do know something about motorsport. So we just applied all of that.
Absolutely brilliant. And in our time, it's the way forward. Right now, it's just like every drop is precious and expensive.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, what can I say? Matt, this is brilliant. You phoned me or you sent me a message, said, let's do it. And we just did it. And you're doing this with your Wi-Fi, which is, I am totally impressed. That's great. You have terrific Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, we're also quite lucky because we've got power for the moment. We've had lots of load shedding the last couple of weeks.
That's right. Yeah.
That just means they turn the power off for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm going to say thank you so much. You brought us into your life. You showed us your shop. You showed us this amazing 7, which I think is just brilliant. So well thought out and methodically planned. It's just brilliant. And what can I say? You're going to be packing up and moving along from South Africa for a little while. Where are you headed to?
Hopefully to Australia in the next sort of 3 or 4 months. We've been delayed a couple of times, but that's that's the plan. I was there earlier in the year for the Grand Prix and everything, and just did some job interviews and met a couple of people there. So yeah, hopefully hopefully we there sooner than 3 or 4 months. But yeah, let's see. We keep getting delayed, so we'll see what happens.
I'm going to say thank you so much for doing this with us. And what can I say? I'm looking forward to following your adventures in Australia.
Yep, I'll post where I can. And thanks so much for having us. It's really cool. It's been a cool project. Yeah, I can't claim too much I can't claim all the credits. Craig was the sort of engineering and financial force behind this car. So we've got to say a big thanks to him. He's also sort of let me go as mad as I felt like going, which was really nice. That's what you need with these sort of projects.
Well, I'm also going to add this, that in the description for this on YouTube, I'm going to put in the Nash Motorsport link and to the pages we put up on 7 Spot, so that people, if they want to have some ideas for a nice car built, to have it built for them, they'll know who to call.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. And if I've got some questions, I'll try to answer them. But yeah, let's see.
Sounds great. Nick and Lee, do you have some questions about that amazing 7?
No, just at the moment it's yeah. What can I say?
Yeah, you see,
I just like the rear
Nick and
end
Lee are
suspension.
bike engine guys, so
Yeah, very tidy, and it's a great solution.
yeah. I just congratulate you. That's absolutely fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers for now, and we'll keep in touch.
Great
Cheers.
stuff. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Jim.
My
And
pleasure.
have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Look at this. We're bringing in Lee and Nick now. And
Hi guys.
hi.
Hiya, Lee and Nicky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
It's great to
Yeah.
see you guys
How are
again.
you?
I'm
Oh,
all
we're
right.
doing-
I'm struggling to hear Jim though. I can't hear Jim when he's speaking, but that's fine by me.
Works well for most people. Listen, you guys are on a
Yeah, I still
build.
can't hear Jim. I might just come out and then go back in again.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Can you hear me at all, Nick and Lee?
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to put into the stream the pictures of your car that you're now building, because you sent these to me just moments ago.
Yeah.
But tell us what you're building there.
We're building an ARL SP1.
That's Aardvark Racing Limited.
Aardvark Racing Limited, SP1.
Yeah.
We're up to the stage where we've got the majority of the wiring in place.
Yeah.
The engine's been dummy fitted today,
Yeah.
just to check 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
All the suspension's on. It's a bit anal. It's powder coated blue and grey all over, and we've
Yeah.
used black rivets, so it's getting there.
Yeah.
But the bit of a unique feature is that lump that's in it.
Yes.
Because I don't know if Mr. Minion recognised. I doubt if he does.
Yeah.
That is a Honda SC77 ESP engine,
I see.
and as far as I'm aware, I don't think anybody's put one in a lightweight road car yet.
Oh, okay.
So this is the engine from 2018 to date. So it produces about 190 brake horsepower at the crank.
Wow. Nice.
We reckon with the right exhaust, the right inlet breathing, and a little bit of wizardry from a certain engine tuner.
Yes.
Come on, name him. We know who he is.
Yeah, we do too. Go for it.
Okay. It's a good friend of mine who's regarded as the best electronic fuel injection tuner in the world. We've worked out how he can tune it and stay in California, so I don't have to pay his first class bloody air flight over here. We're hopeful we'll be getting somewhere around at the crank between 210, 215.
Oh,
And we think-
nice.
and
And
we
what is the weight going to be coming in at?
The car, we reckon we'll get in in 460 to 470 kilos road. So
that is light. That is
Eh?
light, and I know he's been working on lightning things like the alloy uprights and stuff like that, and he's.
We'll get there. I've got my booster under 500, John.
We'll get it below.
Yeah, and that is 500 for a booster is good, really good.
Yeah, I agree. So, with this engine at the moment, there's nobody playing silly sods with putting these in the bike engines. The problems we've got with that we think we've overcome is we're going to have to put a billet sump on it. We think we've overcome the problems with that. The Honda ECU is effectively junk in this because it has to see the angle of the rear wheel. It has to see the compression of the forks. It's got so many stupid sensors on it where if it can't see the center, it just turns the power down. And I mean, turns it down
that's no good.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it just goes into limp mode. Yeah.
So, well, as you know who the tuner is, I'm sure you can work out which direction we're going to go. So effectively, the only problem we think we're going to have now is sufficient ram air to get the air in sufficient quantity into the airbox filtered. And once you've got sufficient air, all you need is the right fuel to air ratio and set fire to it, and away we go.
Because I think the rear clam shell that lifts up had like a built-in air ram system.
I'm not going to be using the standard ARL's got a small intake that hangs out on the passenger side.
Yeah.
I'd really want to induce more forced air at speed.
Like a proper forced injection, yeah.
Yeah, I want to put the proper forced air into it. So we're looking at maybe there are alternative ways than just forcing it into a hole in the top and down to the bottom. So we either cut a hole in the top of the hump on the back of it and induce it straight in, but we might be getting some blockage from the seat areas, or we use that with a reverse knacker duct system. So we're pulling the air in from the sides, which is illegal in the US, believe it or not.
The US?
So
Is it really?
Yeah, they banned it in NASCAR because you could. What you do?
Oh, in NASCAR, yeah.
What you do is you turn the knacker duct the wrong way, and then you put the tube into a space where you want to induce low air pressure, and it sucks all the air out of the engine bay, sucking the car to the floor. But I didn't say anything about that. I do know somebody that's running such a system.
That is pretty
Perhaps
cool.
they shouldn't, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool what you guys are doing. Now, you did send me some pictures of Willwood. Willwood seemed to be the popular brand.
I didn't know we'd send you those. Oh, was it? Oh, yes, it was a long time ago. Well, if you're going to sell to the Americans, you might as well give them American brakes.
Yeah, why not? I like them on mine.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
Yeah. And so the brake kit on this, is it going to be all Willwood with the pedal box and everything?
Yeah, we're the brakes Willwood all round. The pedal box is floor mounted, which means we're about the pedal box technically is about 30 mil off center from the center line of the steering column.
Okay.
But I don't think it's in the grand scheme of things it's going to matter a lot. And one of the reasons we've gone for a floor-mounted pedal box is the SC77E engines fly by wire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a lot of gear to stick down onto the throttle control, and then move it back to the M800.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a bespoke module for controlling.
It won't be a bespoke one. We're thinking of modifying an Audi one.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
One, they're cheap, and two, we can read the signal and tune it on the ECU. So we can get rid of most of the hiccups and on the ECU end rather than the the output signal end, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
absolutely
that's
love
what
it.
we're going to try and
Congratulations,
do.
guys.
We'll
It's I think that you guys have to get into doing more live streaming from your channel, with from the bikes and the Bex only group.
Super Velocity as well. One thing, I obviously saw that car at Stoley. What I do like, because virtually all kit cars, the chassis are black, and you've gone for that lovely powder coated grey, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it took a bit of bottle because the rivets are gloss black. So if you get 1/2 mil out, it stands out like a sore thumb.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, the powder coat is really nice. Although I will say that mine has powder coat, and after 17 years, it does look great too. So I'm right in style.
yeah, well, hopefully with the complete bodywork on this, the powder coating will stay in half reasonable nick.
Yeah.
But
Yes, yeah,
great.
yeah.
and
Absolutely fabulous.
The nice thing is we've actually got interest in by a potential purchaser in the car. So
Oh,
that
after what? When it's fully built? When it's fully built, you mean? He's interested in buying the whole finished car? Yeah.
Yeah, but the car is currently for sale as number one SD.
Are you interested,
Wow.
John?
Yeah.
We'll give you a discount.
You haven't seen my bank balance, mate. Well, neither have I. I daren't look.
Yeah, but
Well, seeing as we're getting all commercial here,
and ex-wives, mate.
you're going to have to give us the name of your build company again, guys, so that people know who to contact.
It's Super Veloci, and the really interesting thing is, with the weight and the power of this, it should be competitive against the Radical, and it should be about 60% of the price on the road and on track.
My main question is it going to beat Henry Carr's?
Yes, easily. We should have a 20 brake horsepower advantage more than that over Henry.
He's got the blade in the back of his, isn't he?
He's got an SC59B engine in the back of it, I think, a 2014.
Yeah,
so
I think that's right.
They're good for about 195 brake at the crank.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've picked up an engine with less than 2,000 miles on it.
Wow.
So by the time we've checked it through, done some work on it, it should be fine.
Yeah.
It's as good as anything. It's a just running engine. So.
And John, we're going to have a very, very fancy paint job on this car, which is going to give you at least another 15 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every sticker.
And we've got stickers.
Yeah, stickers on the back. That's another 5 to 10 horsepower each sticker, depending on what they are. If you don't put an Apple one on it, because that's minus 10 horsepower.
So it's at the moment the build may be slow, but most of it's R&D because we're trying to play with an engine and ECU configuration that I cannot find anybody else that's done it.
Yeah.
So we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think John, I'll do it.
I know you'll do it. I mean, I saw the work that he did with Andy Frost and setting the world record, which he's still got at the moment as well, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I spoke to Rod 3 weeks ago, and he's now using specialist laser dynos just to measure his valve and cam movements. And I said, why don't you do what we do? Just get it.
Yeah, just send it. Yeah, if it's not going well, adjust it.
Just fire it up, go.
Yeah.
Frosty's not good at the moment either. So
you mentioned about a car fire as well, didn't you?
He was working on RV1. He's bought RV1 back, and he had a workshop fire. So he got paint on his work trousers. Bit of methanol, kaboom, bang. So
And I do remember you. I do remember you telling this, Nick, because when you first spoke to him, you said, "Is the car all right?"
Yeah, I
well,
did.
that's all that's important. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So
But that's-
is the car all right?
Yeah,
But
he'd,
yeah, the
he'd
car's
appreciate that. You know, he knows your sense of humour. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but yeah. So RV3 still in the container. I don't know.
Yeah.
We did it.
Oh,
Put it all
really
away.
appreciate the
Forget it.
update there, guys.
Yeah.
From Super Veloce. And I'm looking forward to doing more of this live. And I know that, it's not easy doing it live, but if in the future you can even catch a bit of video and we can do it by a talkover just like you're doing right now with a bit of video, I think that would go down really well.
We'll do it in the workshop next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no worries.
exactly. And you've obviously got a Facebook site as well, haven't you?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've got a Facebook site
yeah,
and a website.
You've got a website as well. Yeah. What's the website address?
Supervelocicars.com.
yeah. Well, that's just the best.
Yeah, it's the only downside to the project is the condition of Nick's health at the moment. So
yeah, I was really sad to hear that, and yeah.
So that's the only embuggerance to the whole thing. He can't actually come out and enjoy it and grab a spanner.
Yeah.
But that's life up to a point.
It is what it is at the moment, and yeah, just take it day by day, really. I think.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
We do.
Well, guys, I'm going to say thank you again. Don't disappear because go ahead.
Thank you very much. And John, thank you very much. And I hope to see you. Oh, Minion, we might be in Pershore at the weekend. There's a car show there.
Oh, is there? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
there is.
I might have to pop along then.
It's Saturday morning.
Where at?
I don't know, but I'll get the address and ping you.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, ping it over. I don't do mornings though. That's me lying.
I know. But it's on the whole day, so you can just rock up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'll ping you where it is.
I've still not got my car MOT'd.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Minion!
I know. I did run it down Santa Pod though. That was a brilliant laugh. It has made it to 2 shows this year.
Look, it's ever so easy. Why don't you trailer the car to me, and half an hour later it'll be MOT'd.
Are you serious?
Yes,
He is.
I am.
Give me your address, mate, and I'll take you up on that.
Well, I'll give you a bell in the week.
Well, we'll discuss it on Saturday then.
Yeah. I will tell you the rear fog light don't work. And that was quite amusing because at the last test that I had, I took it to a guy that I knew was into kit cars, blah, blah, blah. And I said, can you have a look at the wiring? I said, I've tried everything. I've got a new wiring loom if you need it. Here it is. He said, yeah, I'll look at it. So he rang me about 3 o'clock. I said, yeah, it's all done. It's passed. Brilliant. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Went down to pick it up. And I said, how'd you get on with the rear fog light? He said, we ran out of time. And I said, but, if it's fitted to the car, it's got to work. And he said, yeah. He said, but, with the age of the car, and it's a kit car, he said, it's a very grey area. And he said, I figured that you weren't going to be using it in the fog or rain, so I passed it anyway.
He's right. But it'll be sorted. I'll give you a bell I'll give you a bell over the weekend.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
That's
Okay.
very, very cool.
Yeah, and the throttle position sensor as well. That seems to have fixed itself. I think it was the battery, low voltage. It went on that run out. It kept cutting out.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I do as well.
The trouble is, TPS is when they start throwing wobblies, they start not seeing things. It just drives you.
Yeah. But as I say, I ran it down Santa Pod 7 times. And it absolutely ran.
Go on, and the fastest time was 13 point what?
13.9.
You got into the 13s.
It's 13.99 something, and 102 across the line. But watching the video back, and obviously being sad, I just couldn't get it off the line. And to be fair, I wasn't I mean, normally I see cars revving it to about 8,000, just dump the clutch, but it was my first time, and I just didn't want to, knacker the the rear diff or whatever, or the clutch.
Have they glued the track?
Hey,
Have they glued the track?
They glued the track at the start as well. Yeah, so I just took it gently. I wasn't gonna, I know what you say, Nicky, and it can really damage it. My clutch.
It's too light.
It is on the rear. Yeah, I was thinking I may have done better with a passenger.
It's glue track in the light car's not a good idea. The car don't go anywhere. It just knackers the drive shaft, the diffs, the clutch, everything that's weak is going to go.
And that's why I just took it easy. It's almost like a setting off from a set of traffic lights on the road.
It's almost like whizzing up the quarter of a mile on a moped.
Yes. yeah. But I was happy. I wanted to get to the 13. I reckon I can do a 12 if I can get it off the line. But I don't,
I reckon the booster will do low 11s.
You reckon? I think it probably will do. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll give you a bell over the weekend. We'll sort that little problem out.
And we might see you Saturday.
And we'll see you Saturday.
Yes,
absolutely great, guys.
Send me details of where it is, and I'll rock up. I'll let Felix know and Jasper know, see if they want to come as well.
Yeah, it'd be good to see Felix.
Yeah. He's
all right.
Yeah.
Thanks again, guys.
Cheers, Lee and Nick. Yeah, good to catch up.
Be good.
Yeah. All right, cheers, everybody.
Cheers, guys. Haha, there we go. So it looks like it's you and me, John, for the moment. And we do have a little bit of business to take care of, because I'm going to add to our stream. You may have recalled that at the beginning of the show, we had Robert Schulman from the Netherlands join us, and he was called away to work, so we couldn't stick around. But I just contacted him yesterday, as I always do, looking for victims. And I want you to take a look at this and tell me what you think of that.
Obviously a Phaeton, yeah, it's a very nice example as well, looking at it. I don't know what engine he's running, but...
Well, he's going to tell us all about that, but it is turbocharged. Now, the thing about it is, with the Phaeton, being that I live way over on the other side of the planet from you, I have not seen one of these with cycle wings.
Oh, you're right.
Isn't that amazing?
They've normally got like a...
It's a whole one-piece
front bonnet thing, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Now, of course, he's doing some work on the vehicle, and he did tell me that the whole trick in the Netherlands is to make it road legal is to have it with an original sticker, if you will, that it was road legal in its place it came from. So he got one, and it was a mess, a rolling chassis, and he built it. So
I'm just looking at his gear stick there. Is that a 5-speed or a 6-speed? Maybe it's a 5-speed with the reverse.
We are going to have to wait to find out. But there you have it. Look at that. I was confused when he showed me the picture at the beginning. I thought, it looks familiar. It looks really familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I said, well, wait a second now. That looks like a Dutton. And I've just never seen it with the cycle wings. Yeah,
the back end, it looks like he's chopped a bit off the bottom on the back, but that's definitely Dutton Phaeton. But the front, totally different with those cycle guards. Yeah.
I kind of like it. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, we hopefully will, in the next week or so, we're going to be having a trip up to Norway, because we got some stuff happening there. And what I'm just going to suggest is... John,
is that the 27-liter visit to Norway?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Why don't we tune each other's out of this show by bringing in the something outrageous? But we're also going to be bringing in a Caterham show from Norway too, and that could happen a little bit earlier. So I'm going to say, John, thank you very much for co-hosting with me again. This is absolutely fabulous.
Absolutely no problem. Yeah, I had problems with you. I couldn't hear you at the start, which is why I dropped out and came back in again. But not a problem.
No worries at all. We will see you at 7 Spot.
Yeah, and Jim, be seeing you. Yeah, cheers, Jim. Bye.
See you guys. See you at 7 Spot.